Okay. Okay, Joy, we're good.
Okay, I'm not gonna try and lead the whole meeting though being remote, so I'm just pretty much gonna turn it over to Nicole and Crystal. I think they've got their individual sections that they were planning to do. And then I'm just available if you guys have any questions. I sent out a couple of emails ahead of time with some detail. So item number one is the budget variances. Nicole, were you gonna do that one since it's the February report?
I can.
Okay.
I mean, Joy has emailed most of the notes out, pages 2 and 3.
Do what?
Nothing, there's nothing exciting on there. Our cash levels are improving a little bit, holding and improving. General funds at 151, streets at 127, water, wastewater is at 72 average.
This was.
Here, I have one right here.
Thank you.
Anyone else like a copy?
I'd like one, please. Just trying to pull it up on my phone. This is way better.
You want one? Thanks for that.
Oh, sorry. I'll try.
Sales tax on page 4 is down this month. Overall, we're down 50,000.
We'll be up next month.
Hopefully. Yeah. Well, April, May, June, before we see that money. That's about it on the February report. Joy, do you have anything else?
No, I mean, since it's still relatively early in the year and this is just the one for ending February, everything looks like it's rocking along pretty good other than sales tax. And that's not so far off of our forecast that I'm concerned at this point because it's still relatively early. So did anybody have any questions for me on any of those items on the regular report? Okay. Do you want to do capital first or with Crystal or the parks issue with Keith?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Doesn't matter to me.
Well, and you may wind up being kept, so whatever.
Yes, I think mine probably is it's gonna be somewhat capital. So I meant to print it out. I sent an email yesterday. I'm not sure. Did y'all see the quote from Blue Water Pools?
Yeah.
We're asking for a little under to replaster the walls and the bottom of Mills Park Pool. It's about an 8 to 12 year process. That's about how long they last, and it's time to replaster. This one would be on year 10 at this point. We had originally hoped that we were going to be able to get another year out of it. We knew it was somewhat getting close, but we were hoping, especially with trying to cut back and with the cuts that were made last year and try to limp along another year, but we had it evaluated by a couple of companies in the last month to 6 weeks, and the feeling is that it really needs to be done now. We could drain it again, pressure wash it again, try to get it clean, but I think the concern would be that it could break down before we got through the end of the summer, and that's obviously something we don't want to have happen, is having to close it mid-year. Wade followed up with an email. I did reply just to Wade because, to be honest, I wasn't sure if I could do that with everyone or not.
I was gonna ask if you responded.
I did. I replied to Wade, but I thought that with everybody, I wasn't sure if I'm allowed to do that with all council members. So
You're talking about the bids?
yes. So Wade asked if it was bid out. The answer is no, it was not bid out. Unfortunately, because of our time constraints of needing to get this done very soon so that we can open Mills Pool up, it just doesn't allow us to bid that out. We did ask for multiple quotes, even though we didn't go through the full bid process. Blue Water Pools was the only one that assured us they could have it completed in that timeframe. My understanding is, and I did bring Kristen here if there's any questions that are aquatic specific that I can't answer, but that there are not that many companies around here that can do that in a commercial setting. It is different than your residential pools. Blue Water's one that we do a lot of our chemicals with them. They're somewhat local. I mean, they're just up Highway 5. And they've proven to be very reliable, as far as being able to meet the timeframes and getting the job done that they say they can do. They also participate in cooperative purchasing, through TIP. So the job has been, or the category of job has been bid through TIP since they are a part of that. I know that's part of, the discussion today as well, but yes, so that was the answer for his question. Any other questions or anything? It was approved by or recommended by Parks Committee to bring to council this month, so that's why I wanted to bring it here to discuss as well.
I mean,
What's the time frame on getting that fixed? I'm sure it's already drained,
So-
right? Or-
It is not drained right now, no, it has water. We would have to drain it, I think 3 weeks, is that right, Kristen? 3 weeks?
Yeah, it is a process total, I think, of about 6 weeks because, just the curing process and those kinds of things to get it ready.
So the goal would be before Memorial Day? I guess?
Yes, I mean, that's
It
our,
would need to be done in April for it to be ready Memorial Day.
yeah. And that's why we're bringing it now with, unfortunately, such a rush on it, is that we want to be able to get this started early April so that we can assure that it's ready and able to open Memorial Day.
approve, it's still pool, aquatic. Can we approve 50,000 to study how to fix the roof?
That is the study for the Bishop Aquatics Facility. And that, I think that's a comprehensive study for the pool pack and then, all of the other mechanical parts of the interior of that one. I did reach out to them actually this morning to find out. That was with Batson Engineering. That was a project that Ted started up before he left. And, Mark, Chris, you made it, Mark White?
Yeah.
Mark White. He responded that he's on vacation this week, but he's going to, come in and meet with me first thing next week, to give an update on where we are. Cause that should be getting close. I think the original timeline was hopefully by the end of March or early April, they should have that study completed.
I have a question now, probably for these girls. What percent of jobs, this job or other jobs, are bid out as opposed to TIPS contracting?
That's more your department heads, because they're the ones that are
So you
doing
guys
all
don't
that.
see, do you see the contracts and stuff? Or do y'all see it when it comes in for payment?
Joy sees a lot of that stuff. Joy, do you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about items over 35,000, we just don't do that many items over 35,000 in general, and the most of the ones that we do are in public works. So I would say out of the public works ones, a lot of times the engineering services are not what you would call bid out because they're professional services. So instead they do that rank and rate of, statements of qualification. If we were to implement the purchasing position, that'd be one of the places we would start with, centralizing and streamlining that process where we were consistent about that rank and rate procedure and keeping the sheets where we rank and rate. That's what I've seen in other cities, and which they probably do those. And I think Ted, probably did a better job than before Ted on doing that. But, like I said, we just don't do that many things, especially for general fund, that are over the 35,000 because they get approved separately as capital items. So does that help?
So is this gonna go against the capital list?
Well,
Or is this
actually,
just
this is gonna be a
general
tough
fund savings?
because it's one of those where it's gonna be tough for me to determine whether to put it to capital or put it to maintenance, because I mean, technically with an 8 to 12 lifespan on it, I think we would argue that it would extend the life of the pool and therefore could be capitalized. But at the end of the day, the auditors have to agree with me on that. And so, which most of the time in the past they have, there were a few, though, specific to parks that they had us reclass a couple of years ago. I don't know if you guys remember that. But I had booked them, I think I booked them as capital and they put them as maintenance. There's not a, it's a judgment call, and there's not an incentive really, since we're government, to do it either way. It's not like we have any reason to manipulate it being one way or the other, because it doesn't affect our taxes or depreciation or anything like that. So, at the end of the day, it basically, do we want it to go as a capital item and then we could track it that way or not, basically?
Is there a patching option? I don't know much about pools. I'm just curious, like, can you,
Black mold.
Well,
So, part of the reason we had hoped to get longer out of it that we're just not gonna be able to is, we have been fighting black algae in that pool since we've been here, fighting successfully, but it is a process, and I say we, but we all know Kristen's the one who does the majority of the work battling that. And so we have had to and a couple of times in the last few years, drain it and pressure wash the sides of it. And
like a plastering, like I'm thinking in my head plastering, like you're coming through and sealing everything and
yes, it would be
And it's gonna be a full replaster
Okay.
versus a recoating.
But
It's
that's-
not just painting it,
Gotcha.
but the reason being is because after the 10 years, like, it's just chipped off in places. I can see concrete in places. It's just, that plaster just wears off, and so it's all pitted, and that's where you can get algae trouble because it gives it a place to attach.
Right.
Whereas if it's all slick, once it's been replastered and repainted and slick, it can't really attach like that.
Go ahead, Lee.
No, you go ahead.
You shut it down in the past for,
we've done that in the off-season.
okay.
Yeah, we have,
How long does that take? How long does that process take?
The power
trying to-
washing,
yeah,
it takes 2 to 3 days, and then you have to refill it. Like, a pool like that, you can't drain and just leave it there without the chance of it being pushed out of the ground,
Right.
from groundwater. And so, it's a long 2 or 3 days of guard power washing, draining it all down, getting it power washed, and getting it filled back up and things like that.
but yes, we've worked to, our goal being to not have to close during the Memorial Day to Labor Day. I mean, we have seen, especially since COVID, Mills Pool has been busy as long as I've been here. I know a lot of people have been here longer, but since COVID, we have seen it really, we stay on a wait just about every day, weekdays throughout the summer. We're on a waiting list.
But this is Bishop Pool.
No, this is Mills.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, we actually did Bishop a couple of years ago, although that was only that wasn't the full plaster, that was just kind of a repainting of it. But yeah, no, this is Mills, and the crowds that we have seen the last few years, the last couple of years it's bringing in about 75,000 a summer in revenue, even a net gain of about, after you take all the expenses out, still profiting close to 20,000 a year. So, this is, not just what it's bringing in. We see a lot of people that are Little Rock or other areas that are coming to Bryant for Mills Pool. It would definitely, be an impact on our community if we had to close it at any point here. That's what we're trying to avoid here.
So when did we rehab Mills? Do you remember? It was before you got here.
So I started, it'll be 8 years in June, and we had just redone the bathhouse, but the pool had been redone a couple years before that. We did the pool first, so we're at the 10-year mark.
We're at the end of life.
Yeah.
And the pressure washing, well, although we had to do it to fight, the algae there, it doesn't help the lifespan of it, so, that's the other thing. That would be our only option, is to pressure wash it again, and we're already seeing, pieces deteriorating. That would, we would almost be hurting ourselves, the two different issues we're dealing with, so.
I mean, I don't have a problem with the repair.
Oh, not at all,
Yeah,
not at all.
Mills, that rehab on Mills was a great thing.
It's a good money enhancer.
But it's just good for the community too.
That's
I mean, it's just a lot of good things. I don't have a problem with that. I think where I struggle is not going through this, but you mentioned you had a couple other quotes. I know in the past, another department head who's gonna remain nameless, when he would ask us to waive competitive bids. A lot of times he had 3 bids he would show us, he would share with us. So I felt more comfortable about that. I mean, I feel like the purchasing policy, which you would email me a new copy because I have racked my brain.
Mhm.
I have to keep it digital or I lose it. There's too much paper. I think that process is in place to protect the employees and the taxpayer dollars. And so, but I also see the urgency of getting this fixed in a timely manner, so.
And that's what I mean, because y'all know, there's a big difference in going through the full bidding process and getting quotes. And so, now, we did not receive, I want to make it clear, we requested quotes. There was no one that had provided that they could actually do that. I mean, we used a different company for Bishop a couple of years ago, and couldn't assure that they could get this done in time. So, but no, I think that, anytime, even if we're using tips or whatever, if there's other quotes out there, we'll be happy to get those as well, even with the tips doing their part on it also, so. Any other questions for?
Mm-mm. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you, Kristen.
Crystal, you want to move on to just the general capital?
Yes. You pass those down to them. Printed some off. Just in case. There really hasn't been anything major done. Wastewater, street, and water all had some of the trucks that they were approved for come in, kind of staggered over the past couple of months. One thing that I wanted to point out, there is, under street, on the second page, there is a Ram 5500 with a utility box. It's the new mechanics truck. We are having to pay for the upfitting for that one in installments. They required a down payment, and they're requiring us to purchase some of the things as we go along because it's such a specialty bed that they're building. Everything's been straightforward. There have only been 3 purchases done, and we haven't even paid for them yet. They've just been ordered. We had a couple of emergency repairs in wastewater. There was some concrete for a couple of driveways on Vicky, Lane Quartz pump repair, and I really don't know what these are. Romax saddles for wastewater service tie-ins. They are all right below the 5,000 mark, except for the tie-ins, but that was an emergency, something broke. But other than that, everything you guys have approved, everything is going just like y'all wanted it to, I think.
Yeah, I really love this spreadsheet, Crystal, and I did want to point out to everybody how helpful it is to have the PO numbers there and to remind everyone that if it starts with 2023, then it was approved in 2023 and the PO was completed in 2023 and then rolled forward at the
Wow.
beginning.
I like the resolution numbers, the resolution date. I mean, the whole form is, I'm a fan.
It's fabulous.
Thanks.
Very,
Oh,
very helpful.
the green boxes under the POs, those have not had POs issued for it. That's why they're a different color. Just so I know that I need to be looking for those POs to start coming through. Y'all have any questions on it?
Well, it's good.
One of my favorite forms.
You're so easily impressed.
You know,
I like spreadsheets.
Excel
Can
is
you
hard,
tell?
yeah, but when it's done well, it's just, oh, it's a thing of beauty.
Oh,
What's next, Coach?
cooperative purchasing,
Well, wait,
who-
one
Joy-
second. I did want to point out item number 5 on the agenda items. We do have 2 other items and they're really more clerical than anything, but I did want to bring them up and just make sure y'all didn't have any questions on them. Especially for any of the new council members because it only happens once a year. But, the one that I'm referring to is we publish the city's financials in the newspaper. They're unaudited financials at that time. The state requires we publish them as is at April 1st. So, we're actively working through journal entries right now and trying to get it to the most up to date when we give that to the paper. But you guys will literally approve that and then we'll turn right around and give the okay for them to put it in the paper like the very next day. I think it's set to go on the 29th, which is a Friday. So there's that, and it just is it will end up looking like the regular monthly report, but for ending December for the end of the year. And the formatting, go by Arkansas Municipal League suggested formatting. So, did anybody have any questions on that? Okay, so that was one. The other one is, just bringing back, Jack came over and helped out with the destruction. Everything went according to plan, nothing odd on that one. So it's just doing the affidavit. So then we can move on to item 6 if there's no other questions on those. Okay.
Joy, are you not doing the cooperative purchasing?
I can, yes, I can do it. Do y'all want me to do it?
Because
yes.
nobody from fire's here.
Okay, okay. I have the, so what I did, just for council's benefit is, Rhonda Sanders, the interim mayor, had asked, she said, this is something we get a lot of questions on. And so we wanted to bring it up at this meeting, and it might take multiple meetings to complete the discussion. But initially I just posed to the department heads, what are the more common cooperative purchasing agreements that you use? And I had some questions like, are they national? Are they regional? Are they statewide? Do they bid out their items? And if they do, how often do they bid out their items? How many members do they are a part of the cooperative? And does it cost anything to join? And so Brandon sent their stuff, and theirs is called the Houston Galveston Area Council that they use most frequently. And it's no cost to join. There's 9,000 members. It's right at 50 years old. So it's a very old cooperative purchasing agreement that a lot of fire stations across it's national use. And they typically bid their items out every 4 years, which they probably have about an average on the big trucks, a 2-year build out. So that's pretty good. So, and then I know, Keith collected some of that information for the Tip Taps program. And, but did anybody have any questions about the fire one or about cooperative purchases contracts in general?
No.
No, okay.
Guess you can't see us.
I can't see you
Sorry,
guys.
Joy.
It's okay. So, Keith, did you want to share your specifics on the Tip Taps one?
Sure, yeah, I can do that. So TIPS is also a national organization. They have over 4,000 vendors and over 12,000 members, including, I spoke to the Arkansas representative, and he said every school district in the state of Arkansas participates in TIPS, as well as I spoke to City of Benton and City of Conway just briefly just to find out they participate as well. They have over 400 contracts, and contracts being types of projects or things like that. And they're bid anywhere from 1 year to 5 years, and it just depends on the popularity of that type of work. The more common the type of work is, the more often they bid it out. They could have multiple vendors for one contract because they do try to make sure and have someone that's somewhat local to where you are. So if we're using them, we're not getting, electrical services out of, Nevada or something like that. So, I think that was all the questions that we had
Yeah,
proposed on it.
I think you touched
So
on everything.
And I did talk, like I said, I talked to him, our state representative, he did say that, he would be happy if there's any more questions, he would be happy to come to a meeting or anything like that and do a presentation. I think that a few years ago, Municipal League may have done one for those. I did not talk, I know we've used Sourcewell before. I think that for our Musco, for our field lights and things like that, they go through Sourcewell. But I did not get specific answers on theirs.
Another one that is a type of cooperative contract that we use obviously is the state contract. The state has several things that it bids out, and then we're allowed to use their bids. So, that's something that I see pretty commonly listed on purchase orders is, state bid. So, any questions on any of that? Any questions in general, because that's the end of our agenda items, but we could certainly talk about anything. We're just at the half-hour mark.
I don't have any questions, Joy.
Okay, thank you. Is that Jordan? I think I recognize your voice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
I would publicly like to advocate, and this would really be directed to the mayor, to advocate for the purchasing position to be funded. And I realize it's gonna be it's a hard task, but put our heads together, we might come up with a plan. I mean, we didn't think we'd get to a balanced budget 5 months ago, and we did. So I think that is a vital position that we need in the city.
I would like to say publicly, I will work really hard to make that happen.
I'll work with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please, like that.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think there's none of us in this room or in that room, in this virtual room that would not want to get that as soon as we can.
I think we need it desperately.
I'm working on it. Hopefully I'll have some details. But Joy's been on vacation. Joy's got enough going on. Haven't talked to her about the things I've been working on, but I have been working on it.
These girls are good right here. They're doing a good job while you're gone.
Oh, I have no doubts whatsoever. I appreciate it so much. All right, well, if y'all don't have anything else, I guess we'll go ahead and sign off.
Thanks, Joy.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Joy.
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 Thank you, guys.